Hello, my name is Janine Solomon and I'm a staff attorney at the Disability Law Center. This video is about tips for parents when advocating for their children with special education needs. Special education law explicitly requires school districts to meet the unique learning needs of students with disabilities who receive special education services in order to prepare them to live as adults and to succeed in employment and independent living. Parents and advocates often face challenges when trying to ensure that school districts address unique learning needs of the student, including the individual, academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Parents often come to the Disability Law Center too late and with too little documentation. Our ability to help is only as good as the proof that the parents give to us. Unavoidably, disputes about services or placement sometimes do not resolve at the team meeting stage. When that happens, it is important to remember the very key difference between what you know personally and what you are required to prove at a formal hearing at the Bureau of Special Education Appeals or the BSEA. The following tips will help strengthen your case at team meetings and, if necessary, at administrative hearings. Tip number 1, keep track of and organize important documents. From the time that your child enters school to when he or she leaves, you will have accumulated hundreds of documents. If eligible, your child is entitled to special education services beginning at age 3 to when he or she graduates or turns 22. That means you'll have documents that span more than about 20 years. And they will include the following and possibly some others. Individual education programs or IEPs. Evaluations, including those from the school district and independent evaluators. Progress reports, standardized test results, the MCAS, and report cards. Correspondence, including emails between you and your child's teacher, administrators, and team chairpersons. You may have notes from meetings and phone calls, forms and informal materials that might include information about new programs, changes in programs or services, school district policies, or budget issues. You might have samples of your child's work as well as health and medical records. It is important to keep copies of everything. You might be tempted to throw things out, but even the oldest document in your child's history might be needed at some point in order to support your claim for more appropriate special education services. Tip number 2, put all requests, concerns, and objections in writing. A basic reality for special education advocacy is that if you do not write it down, it did not happen. If you have concerns about your child's special education services or placement, you should promptly communicate those concerns to the school in writing. Carefully review all your notes and minutes from meetings and correct any inaccuracies or the failure to include important points which were raised at the team meeting. Do this by sending a letter. Carefully check the attendance sheet and make certain that it carefully lists everyone who was there. Keep notes or a record of all your objections. Voice any concerns that you have at the team meeting and make sure someone records those concerns. If not, write a letter after the meeting in order to follow up and state your understanding about what was agreed upon at the meeting and why you disagree. This will help you later if you want to challenge portions of the IEP with which you disagree. If you reject the education plan in whole or in part, you should send a letter to the school and explain why it is that you are rejecting portions of the IEP. Either hand deliver your letter to the appropriate school personnel and get delivery confirmation either with a timestamped copy or send the letter via certified mail return receipt requested. Merely making a telephone call is not enough because there is not a reliable record of that conversation. Tip number 3, always know what you're signing. Your child's IEP is a written contract between you and the school district. As with any contract, you will want to review the terms carefully, understand what you are agreeing to before signing. Although you need to complete part of the paperwork within a reasonable time, you should never feel pressured to sign an IEP without having carefully considered it. Regularly review your child's progress and identify areas where he or she is excelling and/or struggling. Don't just accept IEPs in full from year to year without paying attention to changes or lack thereof in goals and objectives and measures of demonstrated progress. Parents cannot rely on a student's lack of progress during the prior school year when trying a case at the BSEA. You must be prepared to produce evidence and expert testimony about every disputed IEP. Tip number 4, don't go it alone. Knowledgeable, credentialed experts can make or break a case. Share private evaluations or assessments with your school team. Consider bringing private evaluators to the team meeting or have them participate via speakerphone to present their report and recommendations. If you go to a BSEA hearing, it is critical that the expert evaluator be available to testify. They should have direct knowledge about your child and his or her disability, and they should know the school's program, preferably after directly observing it and meeting with the school staff. Submitting a report is not enough. Experts who have personally both evaluated your child and observed your child are far more credible than those who have only interpreted another evaluator's reports or have not observed the program themselves. You may also want to seek an educational advocate or an attorney to guide you and support you through this often confusing and stressful process. Tip number 5, the law does not mandate a perfect IEP. Currently, the law is very clear that an IEP need not provide the maximum benefit to a student. It need only provide some benefit. What it means is that it will vary from one student to another. A free and appropriate public education, or FAPE, is intended to require special education services that provide a basic floor of opportunity to allow the student meaningful access to public education. These 5 tips should be the basic building blocks for advocating for appropriate education services for your child. We wish you luck and thank you for watching.